Welcome to this presentation on 21st century workforce skills. What do employers expect from psychology BA graduates, and to what extent is psychology able to address the so-called skills gap? That's the gap between what employers expect from college graduates and what they say they are receiving, not just in psychology but in all fields. APA formed a working group. Our chair was Aaron Richmond. I was one of several people that served. My name is Jerry Rootman from Irvine Valley College. We met about 4 years ago and began our work. The first thing we wanted to find was what are the essential workforce skills for psychology majors. We looked at all kinds of websites and documents in which employers talked about the skills and the skills gap that they were observing. We identified skills that were in job descriptions for jobs in which psychology is one of the possible majors that students could have to apply for the job. We compiled a list of the most frequently mentioned skills, and we organized them into 5 domains, and then we came up with ways of terming those or describing those skills in ways that employers could identify with. So the completed project is the Skillful Psychology Major, which is a poster in a handout that APA has available. And also there was an article in Psychology Student Network on what skills students need to work on to be prepared to enter the workforce. And a similar article was written on the Psychology Teacher Network. This is the poster that I mentioned a while ago. You can see that we have 5 domains, and each of those breaks into one of 17 different skills that students acquire, or at least could acquire as an undergraduate major in psychology. This is a screenshot of the article in the Student Network. You can see that was in February of 2019, and the one in the Psychology Teacher Network, March of 2019. And these are available if you go to the APA website and do a search for 21st century workplace skills. So what is career readiness? Well, it's a foundation from which students can demonstrate core competencies that prepare them for the college-educated success in the workplace and in long-time career management. This is an activity that we've done. If I were speaking to you right now in a live presentation, I would one of the exercises that I'd have you do is take a look at a actual job advertisement that came out by a company in San Diego, California. And you can see here at the top it says job duties, and they break it all down, and then skills and qualifications and so on. So in the workshop environment in which I presented this, I have people get into groups of about 4 or 5. They get the list of the 5 domains and 17 skills, and they see which terms here correspond to the list of 17 skills. So when that's done, this is the breakout. You can see that of the 5 domains, 4 of them are represented by terminology on that job ad for that student. Let me go back here and point out too, right here at the bottom, it says the requirements are experience in an advertising agency and then a BA in marketing, communication, psychology, history, or any relevant field. So you can see why we chose to focus a lot on ads that included psychology as a major. So, and then the same exercise, we have people then take a look at the skills and qualifications and see what is mentioned on there that corresponds to the 5 domains and the different skills. And that's typically what a group of conference participants would come up with. So now that you know that these skills are valuable, what next? Well, we think it's possible and urge you to emphasize skills that are acquired from psychology in your courses, your workshops, and in letters of recommendation. So this table here breaks down and shows that there's things that you can mention in your syllabus about the skills that are developed in the course that the students are taking. Letters of recommendation can recommend skills. Same thing, skills that are gained in the course can be pointed out to students either in lecture or by assignments that emphasize skill sets. And then students themselves can have an increased awareness, sort of like a career metacognition perspective, you might call it, where they're looking at themselves and thinking, what skills am I actually acquiring here that would be useful in the workplace and that would help me get a job? Students can learn to skillify their resumes, their cover letters, their CVs, and so on. And in assignments, they can focus on, if you assign them, emphasizing the skill sets. So let me give you some examples of that. What domains do your classes emphasize? So one community college psych faculty did an exercise in which they took each of the cognitive domains and said which courses include something from communication. And these are the different courses offered at that college that teach something to do with communication. Research methods especially, I would think, because of the emphasis on APA style. Technological statistics courses, students use Excel and JASP and SPSS and learn to make tables and things like that, and of course all the research methods of statistics. So there's a lot of skill development across the domains at a community college level of coursework. Here's an example of skills embedded in a syllabus. And I think I've emphasized that. This starts right out. Skills you will learn: evaluate information sources, effective writing, presentation skills, to collaborate. Skills that can help you with any profession. Excuse me. Here's an example of a professor's letter of recommendation that mentions skills, and these are color-coded just to show how, cognitive skills are the ones that are in the lighter green, and so on and so forth. So rather than saying this is a great student and she's done this and she's done that, getting it down to specific skills, I think, can make a more effective letter of recommendation. This is just another layout of that same letter, just to show a little bit magnified how it looks. And finally, help students identify the skills so that they can market themselves. Encourage them to monitor their skill building and experience acquisition process, or progress, I should say. This is an instrument called the Professional Development Experience Checklist, and this is just the score on it, but basically it's a paper and pencil test that I helped put together, and students can self-rate their progress in developing writing ability and all of these different outcomes, and all of these are actually skill areas and experience areas. You can score as high as 49 to 60. I think the thing to emphasize if you have students use this is that there are no wrong answers, that it's just basically where they are at this point in their professional development. Another instrument that's quite good is the Employable Skills Survey. This is online, it's free. Students can take this, they get results, they can take it more than once and track their results, and it's called the Employable Skills Survey. I will give you references for all of these, or a way to access all of them at the end of this talk. Another approach for students to get a valuable experience is doing internships or service learning. This is an example of a student that I mentored just last summer. He was in what we call Cooperative Work Experience, or CWE. Now, you may not have that at your school, but you may have something similar to that or some sort of service learning available to them. I'm urging students to do this. This student got a unit of college credit for volunteering 60 hours at a drug rehabilitation center called Northbound Treatment Center. There's a picture of it. And they basically have patients stay there and detox. And they have as many as 87 people there that can stay as long as 3 months to detox. The student worked with me and the supervisor that he had out at this clinic to develop 3 learning objectives. We didn't want him to just be, sweeping and doing menial tasks like that. We wanted him to actually do something where he was getting some on-the-job experience and helping them. So, what I've learned from volunteering, this is part of a presentation that he gave to other students, and I had the opportunity to watch it. This is what the student said. There's a big difference between psychology classes and the actual experience of working with mental health clients. No book or class can replace that experience. Another thing that stands out is these individuals aren't just addicts, but they are people. They have their own stories, desires, thoughts, and feelings. Most importantly, I've learned about myself and that psychology is a career area that I want to pursue. So this student finished his internship over the summer and was offered a paid position, and he accepted. So he's continuing on to get his degree, and that was really a great experience and something that he could put on his curriculum vitae. Students also should take advantage of career resources. Every college has a career center, and they're woefully underutilized. And I just wonder, if you took a survey of your students, would they even know where the career center is, and have they been there? So here's another way of looking at all of this in summary. Workplace building, skill building tips. Have students monitor their progress, like a career metacognitive approach to things. Build skills. They can take skill building courses and workshops that both within and outside of their major. I've recommended students take an Excel course that's taught in our different discipline. It teaches that. One of the most valuable skills they can have. Another one, of course, is public speaking. Gain experience. High impact experiences are things like being active in a career club, related club, or an honor society like Psi Beta, doing service learning, study abroad, undergraduate research. That's another one, that faculty mentored undergraduate research. These are all high impact experiences that are worthy of mention on curriculum vitas and interviews and so on. And then network. Join professional organizations like the Regional Psych Association, the APA, and others. And then there are some career resources that I'm going to introduce to you right here. This is one of the most amazing things. This is actually a Word document that's full of links made by none other than Drew Appleby. He took a look at over 300 careers and digested them down into 15 categories. Now, these are things that are psych related, maybe not directly, but they're psych related because they utilize the kind of skills that students develop as a psych major. So if you click on one of these 15 categories, some more information comes up. If it's highlighted in blue, it means that you need you can get into this position with a bachelor's degree. If it's green, it would be a graduate degree, and a little red dot means that O*NET rates it as having a bright outlook. So I'm going to give you a quick example here. Let's just say that the student says, you know what, my uncle works in human resources. I think I could do that. I'd like to do that. So the student clicks on that, and this is what pops up. These are subcategories of working in the human resource area. And you can see there's a lot of links there with information. One link goes to ONET and so on. So let's just say that he says, this or she looks at this, training and development. That's a place in human resources that sounds interesting. So click on that. This is basically how it looks blown up from that past page. This is the ONET link. You see, these are all hot links. Down here are YouTube videos by people who actually do that kind of work. So for example, this guy, Rob Jindal, he's a learning and development manager, and there's a little video there of him talking about how he got that job and what it's like working and doing that kind of work. And then there's the ONET report that you can click on, and that just has all kinds of interesting stuff here about typical interest of somebody who works in training and development, their work styles or values, related occupations, wage and employment trends by state and zip code. Can you believe that? So there's a lot of information there that students could use. You could have your students do this to kind of get them thinking about what are they going to do with their degree, whether they go to graduate school or not. Something like over 50% of the students who get a BA in psychology go into the workforce. They do not go to graduate school or some other postgraduate degree area like business or law. They go into the workforce. So self-marketing, that will help students get a lab position, get into a transfer university, get a job. So these are some of the things, again, how to, teaching them how to make quick pitches like the elevator talk, because they find themselves on the elevator with a professor or somebody that can make a decision in their favor, resumes, cover letters, and so on. A few more examples before we finish here. Self-marketing content. Basically, I think when you're self-marketing, you're describing not only skills, but knowledge that you have because of your degree and stuff that you've done to prepare yourself for entering the workforce, but also experiences can be quite worthwhile mentioning. So here's a cover letter that's embedded with skills that this student actually takes the fact that they were working at a Starbucks and how they, as they were elevated to a manager position, the kind of skills they developed and took advantage of and used as training other baristas. So pretty interesting. Before this, getting into this whole area of research, I didn't even think that anyone would mention that they worked at a Starbucks, but that's a valuable thing. It can be used to promote one's job readiness for full-time position. Here's a skills-focused CV. What this student has done is actually listed many of the domain skills and then breaks it down into the sub-skills that promote that. That's an impressive curriculum vitae. So I think psychology offers a lot of job skills. We have done work, our working group identified the kinds of skills that employers want, but often say graduates lack. We've identified ways in which psychology can help students acquire and articulate those skills. And I also think that psychology is well positioned to help students acquire the so-called soft skills or people skills, whatever you want to call them, essential skills, human skills, that are needed for job success regardless of your type of job, whether you work in psychology or not. We're well positioned to teach these skills to students. And finally, in closing, this is a link that Laura can send to you, or you can get a hold of this, and it'll actually take you to a couple of resources here that I talked about today. One of them is how to make a curriculum vitae, a video by my wife, Barry Rudman, who is a counselor that made this. Another is a great video also on preparing and getting into graduate school by Dr. Carrie Tucker. She is a student who started out as a community college student and worked her way up at UC Riverside to her PhD. And she gives a wonderful talk on that. Professional development checklist, you can download that. The employment, this is a link that will take you to the self-efficacy employable skills instrument that I mentioned. A copy of the skills-based cover letter, the CV, and online exploration. This is the thing that Drew Appleby made that is very amazing. So thank you for tuning in and watching this. I hope that you find it valuable. I've learned a lot myself about careers in psychology and the very unique skills that we provide our students with. Take care and thank you.